Hi, I'm Kathy Bisbee, Executive Director at CMAP and soon to be Executive Director here at CTV. So we've put together a really interesting show for you today about some of the transitions that are happening at Community Television of Santa Cruz County. And I want to make sure that folks in the community understand the challenges that we're facing and the solutions that we have prepared as part of our transition plan to help support community television through the funding realities that have changed over the last couple of years. As a result of statewide legislation back in 2006, we have had to really look at how do we create systems, efficiencies, use technology, create new kinds of productions and programming at our station and media center so that we can really continue to serve the media and technology and public access needs of this community. So I'm here today with Rodney Dunbar, who will be telling us a little bit about what his role is going to be during that transition. And Rodney, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us who you are. I know a lot of people in the community are familiar with you, and a little bit about your production and local programming work.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. So I've been here in town 30 years now, 30 years this summer, 20 years as a TV anchor, journalist, reporter, mostly based in Santa Cruz during that time. So a good background there. And 10 years ago or so, started a video marketing company here in town, and also reached into Monterey, mostly Monterey and Santa Cruz County, a little bit over the hill, but mostly local. So that was my background coming in and sort of following the technological changes that we're also working together on here that led to streaming media and the whole new world, brave new world of media. So that's what led me to having a relationship with the county, doing some work with the county as a vendor, and then getting involved in the transitions that you've been working on for a long time with the team here at CTV. So I'm here to help with the public-private relationship that is down the road for CTV, something we're going to talk about a little bit later when we get into the rebranding section of your very good strategic plan for the transition. So in a few minutes we'll flesh that out a little bit more about what some examples might be, and just remind people a little bit about what they've probably seen some of our content in the community, and know that it's going to make a little bit of a bridge with what CTV does for a service and for the government and for public and free speech, but also getting into that fee-based structure that we're going to talk about a little bit.
Great. And I think it may be sort of surprising to folks that the county and that CTV is working with a private production company. And I think what we're hoping to do during this program is discuss how that public-private partnership is really going to help support the transition goals of community television. So I look forward to getting into that. So if you're a viewer and you're kind of wondering, I don't get how this is really fitting with all of the productions that are already happening at community television, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about Rodney's role and how we're going to be able to partner for the betterment of community television and the survival of community television. So I want to talk a little bit before we get to that about some of our transition goals at community television. So many of you have heard me during the telethon recently at CTV talk about some of the very stark funding realities that we're under. As you know, we do not have operational dollars as of next July, and really this next year, my organization, CMAP, has been asked to come in and manage operations so that we can really help CTV get to that place. And one of the things that's been a really exciting part of that process for me personally and professionally is that we've been able to do a lot of collaboration work. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've had joint meetings of CMAP staff and CTV staff on our management team, on our productions team, with our technology and programming departments. And so we're really excited about these kinds of infrastructure changes, personnel changes, and exceeding our capacity and growing that staff capacity. So I want to show you a document that I've created to help the board of directors. We'll be showing it to them and to the community. And so you can see the main goal at the top is, in very clear terms, I think, organizational survival and continuing our contract with Santa Cruz County. So in order for CTV to really continue the trust that we have with the County of Santa Cruz, that we can really provide the community media and public educational and government access services to the community, we have to do a variety of things that I think are going to be somewhat challenging for us in the next year. On the left, we have growing personnel capacity and efficiency. So there's a number of things that we're doing. We've actually contracted with Denver Open Media, who has actually gone through a similar process that we're going to be going through over the course of the next year. Denver actually, they had to shut their media center down for an entire year to get things back on track. We won't have to do that. We will have some closures, and we'll talk about that at other times. But you know, in this model, we're going to be creating efficiencies through using some of the tools, the technology tools that Denver has actually employed. I've been working with their team for over 3 years. At CMAP, we've actually implemented some of those technology tools, and they've created efficiencies for our organization. The second area is really developing funders and fee-based services. So a lot of media centers around the country have had to do this. What we used to offer for free, we no longer have operational dollars to do that. So we've got to come up with fee-based services around our expertise, media and technology, and media access and public access to the media. So we'll be doing that. We'll be letting you know about some of those fee-based services. And we've brought on a brand new development director just 3 weeks ago, Paul McNabb of Scotts Valley. And I believe folks had a chance to see him at our last board meeting, and we'll see him again as we're bringing the board up to speed on fundraising and development and applying for grants, and we're going to be doing some fundraisers that we hope that you'll join us to participate in. The third area is really around building new technology infrastructure. Some of that we're doing through checkouts and reservations. Some of that we'll also be doing through members being able to upload and schedule their own content. And I like to think of this as a DIY kind of approach to community media. And that is that members are really critical to the success of our media center and can really be helpful in creating and using the technology that we put into place to schedule their own shows, to help promote the shows on community television, and also be able to help do some of the check-in and reservations that we've currently had staff doing, and unfortunately we won't be able to continue having staff helping members with some of those things we've had help with in the past. And the final area really relates to that as well. We are organizing a team of super users and members here at CTV who we really feel are vital to really lead this organization into the future. Without your support as a member, without your support as a volunteer, without the community support, we will not be able to keep CTV afloat. So this is really a little bit of an open call to you as the viewers and the community of Santa Cruz to help support us in these transition goals. Briefly, I want to show you very quickly a transition document that kind of outlines the phases, and that'll be a nice way to introduce some of the work that we're going to be doing with Romney. So you can see a little bit about some of the ideas and the plan that we have developed for the transition at CTV over the course of the next year. We have 3 phases of development. The first phase is, again, putting into play these 4 areas of organizational change and development. The second phase is really doing the training and building the capacity and the member involvement. And then the third phase is really making sure that by really March of next year that our relationship with the County of Santa Cruz and with the community is a strong one, and that people really feel like this foundation that we've laid over the course of the next year is really working both for the needs of the community, the needs of the county in terms of our contract with them, and also to make sure that we have a plan for sustainability into 2014 and 2015. So I'll make sure as your managing director, I suppose, in the next couple of weeks and months to keep you well informed about some of these changes that are happening. I know there will be lots of changes that will be new to the community and to the CTV community, and we hope to keep you well informed about how this will affect community television moving forward and how it will support our goals of keeping the organization up and running for years to come. So on that note, I want to segue into Romney's role in all of this, which I'm sure people are wondering, okay, how does Rodney Dunbar and Dunbar Productions fit into this? And really, what we've talked about is having you take on a role of rebranding the channels. You have a lot of experience with that. You've developed a lot of commercial content that we really feel doesn't have to be necessarily commercial for community television and can really help to provide some quality programming. And not to say our programming is really great. I mean, we have wonderful public access producers. There's people who have been producing content for 20 years here that have done amazing pieces, nationally award-winning, regionally and Western states award-winning. But I think there's something else that you're really bringing to the table. Could you talk a little bit about that and how you envision your role developing here at CTV?
Well, coming in and really looking at CTV and seeing what the strengths are, and that is, as I'm a broker of media as well, so I broker time for clients, and we make videos for, from a granite construction sort of Fortune 500 to a local artist. So many of the things that really would cross over with community TV and some of the work they're doing as well, nonprofits. So we have a few examples to look at today, but where you see we've actually done these in the community and they're very close to community TV. Some of our things are, of course, blatantly commercial, right? Advertising, but and a lot of real estate, things like that. But you can make a very small step from my news background and our commercial background to make something that fits in the middle. The reason for this is to draw more attention and more value into the tools that are available at community television. Great access to the airways, great streaming video, state-of-the-art improvements that you mentioned in your plan. All the things that are 2014 tools that are necessary for a nonprofit or even for-profit partners. So it's a very competitive process here. It's a very competitive compilation, and it's never had to really compete that way or go after larger fees. If we can improve, if we can work our deadlines a little faster, because we've had to do that in the competitive commercial world, if we can add a little bit of that juice, if you will, to community television, that would be one step. And really just polish what's already here in a new way is really what we're trying to do. We want it to happen pretty rapidly this year.
That's right.
And so it's a reinvention that way, although it's really kind of going back to the source and just reminding people again what they have had here, sort of taken for granted because of the funding model that came in every year and could be taken for granted, to use the word grant, but now it has to be fought for a little bit harder. So we want to fight for it, and to do that we have to use our own tools, which are our channels, right? So if I can just pitch to a video we brought in today, something we did for the county, for county tourism, the Conference and Visitors Council, just an example of some of the things we do and how you could start to see many things out there that we could do in here, and it would be a benefit to the client and to community television.
How about a Surf City vacation this year? Santa Cruz is the ultimate surf city because along with the iconic surfing and beaches, Santa Cruz County offers award-winning wine country and majestic redwood groves, minutes apart. Let's prove it. First stop, Henry Cowell Redwood State Park, one of 14 state parks in Santa Cruz County.
Some of the tallest trees in the world are right here.
One of Daniel Williford's jobs is to get visitors excited about these majestic trees, a job that's pretty easy most of the time.
The reactions I see on people's faces when they first step in here is one of awe and magnificence, and almost speechless to begin with. They can't even grasp what they're seeing. You hear about the redwoods, you read about them, but there's no substitute for coming to them, smelling this redwood air, touching their bark, and just looking up at the grandeur of this place. People are enriched when they leave here. The 14 state parks in Santa Cruz County give every opportunity for outdoor recreation. You can be deep dark in a redwood forest, and later on that day, maybe within a half hour, 45-minute drive, you can be walking along the shoreline of one of our great state beaches.
We'll be there in just a moment, but first it's on to wine country. Specifically, the Corralitos Wine Trail in South Santa Cruz County.
And the vine right here.
Yeah.
Marguerite Nicholson's family is exemplary of the friendly, homegrown wine industry that dots the local landscape.
Wine tasting in the Santa Cruz Mountains offers such a unique and intimate experience for visitors. No matter which winery you go to, it's not unusual to be one-on-one with the winemaker and the winery owners. It's not unusual to see them pouring in their wine tasting rooms on the weekends. And what this does is it allows our guests to have that personal experience, to see what we do, to feel the passion. And not only is it a pleasant surprise to wine taste in the mountains and see our beautiful mountains, but it's a pleasant surprise to also find world-class wines.
As far as potential for a viticultural area, this is one of the top 3 Pinot growing areas in California. Pinot Noir. Each vintner will be sharing with you their personal creative effort, their take on their environment, and they're often very excited to do that.
You can taste up in the mountains. You can drive very easily to the coast and have a sunset walk on the beach. Wine tasting does not get much better than that.
And now that Surf City beach vacation. And the best place to start? A surfing lesson at beautiful Cowles Beach, right next to the wharf and boardwalk.
You paddle with your shoulders slightly up.
Club Ed's Ed Guzman has taught thousands of folks to surf since training soldiers to do it in his Army days. And this boot camp in the sand is a whole lot more fun than those other kind.
What makes Santa Cruz a surf city is this is where it began. And for a lot of people, this is where it gets to end because they end up staying here and never wanting to leave. We have everything from the biggest, most powerful waves to, like here at Cal Beach, we have the gentlest, trickly, puffball, mushy waves that are perfect for beginning. Everybody from all walks of life, any shape and size person you could imagine, you're going to see out at Cal's. You know, what happens is the ocean has healing qualities. You know, you touch the ocean, you get in there, you even smell the ocean, and you feel better as you're walking away. But when you get to immerse yourself in an activity that goes into the ocean, you just feel different. So you get out on a board, you paddle, you sit, you watch the birds fly over, a seal pop up by you, an otter with its pup. It's amazing.
The woods, the wine, and the waves, all part of a great vacation in Santa Cruz County. See you soon.
You know, I think this is actually, it's interesting because I think in this community, we haven't necessarily had such any kind of a commercial focus. And I know this community being what it is, sometimes that raises a red flag for folks.
Right.
And it's interesting, you know, for me, I come from both a nonprofit background and activism and social justice background, but also from a business background. As you know, I was the marketing director at Cruz for almost 10 years. And have a business degree. And I think what we're doing here is really innovative, and also involves some trust in terms of, you know, how are we going to take the wonderful assets of community television that are public resources and bring in economic development and other things that are also part of the community. It's not just the social justice part of community television and the free speech part of community television, or there's no liberal or conservative bent to community television, really. I mean, community television is really all about making sure that all voices in our community are heard. So, businesses have an important voice to be heard in the community as well. Businesses are providing jobs to our community, are providing tourism that provides tax dollars so that we can fund some of these social programs that so many Santa Cruzans love and feel are an important part of our culture here. So I see that not being in competition with each other, but actually being a great way to support our economic development and support continuing our community here and our community culture.
Well, part of what's stunning about this to people that have long known the community television model is that it is a big change. It's fighting for survival because it's about the money, right? We have to have more money. So it's difficult because community television was very much, as you say, as an activist and as voices that are unheard. It was an alternative medium.
That's right.
And it's a little, I'll admit, it's both that, but also a little less so, in order to pay freight on all these services and and these channels, it has to be a bit more, it has to move to the middle a little bit more. So we're looking at this hybrid model that's probably more familiar with sort of the KQED or PBS model than what community television has been, which has been very much free and alternative.
Right.
So that is the big step, I think, that's happening here, and if that's easy to understand. The rest of the details are extremely, complex, and as you well know. But that really is what's happening here. Where have we been? Where are we now? And where are we going? We're kind of going to the middle because we have to have sustainable funding.
Well, and I think even in describing the model that way, there's room for the far left and the far right, and I mean, we're not going to lose free speech in here at all. We are bound by our mission to
We aren't closing anything. We're fighting to keep it open.
That's right. So one of the things I think it's important for folks to know is that the goal is not to lose public access to media. That's something I'm personally very committed to. I know that's something you're concerned about. The county's very concerned about that as well. So that's the goal here, but we are going to have to do some things differently than how we've done them in the past. And I feel very confident that with the team that we have here, with the members, and having more involvement from members, in fact, getting support from the community in ways that we've really never asked you as a community, we're going to be asking you for support this year. And we're going to ask to support not only the history of community television and the long and wonderful history of community television, but also our future. And that may look different next year than it does right now.
It is the first nonprofit surfing museum in the world. Everything in here has roots to Santa Cruz, and it's all about Santa Cruz.
It's just like real estate. This museum is location, location, location. Right out on a point in the lighthouse, and then the cliffs. It's like going to bleachers in a football game. You can just stand up there and watch them surf. Well, I started surfing in about 1936, and we formed a Santa Cruz Surfing Club in about 1938. In junior high school, we started building boards that today we'd call them a barge. They were square on each end and just a taper on each end. And they were just oversized belly boards, really. But you could stand up on them in cowls. And then in about 1938, a bunch of guys from Southern California were going to San Jose State. And after a big storm one time, we went down to the beach after school, and these guys had their surfboards sitting up against the cliff and had a fire going up against where the Dream Inn is now. And they were entirely different, paddle boards and solid planks. And start taking measurements and going back to school and building new boards. We didn't have the crowd surfing. We had a clubhouse down at the beach, right at the beach, and be sitting on the porch waiting for somebody to show up to go out with.
We've tried to run it so you go from early days right around to present days. When they run big time contests here, the O'Neill Coldwater Classic, and everybody's amazed that they can come in here as well as look out, and they're only 100 or so yards from some very big waves. It's an ideal spot. If you want to surf every day of the year in Santa Cruz, you can find a spot to catch waves. That's a known fact. There's waves all the time here. Faraway travelers can't believe how much we have in here and how good the chronological order is. And then we get surfers come in and they want to see the pictures of their friends, or they want their picture in here. So we try and be as diplomatic as possible.
Be sure to check out the Surfing Museum on your visit to Santa Cruz.
Could you tell us a little bit about the first idea that you have in terms of a pilot?
Really, there's two things. One is a project we're working on with the county, and obviously community television offers us a way to highlight that project. It's the Pajaro River Levee work, and it's actually more interesting than that sounds. Includes Elkhorn Slough and wildlife preservation. Interesting because we can highlight it here on community television. The other is a new series, and it's really, the working title is Innovators of Santa Cruz, because our community is so cutting edge is a tired term, maybe not, because we're still cutting edge. There's some very interesting things going on here, both big and small. So that might be some sort of a chance to have to work with businesses and with a business community and a sponsor, but also to highlight some very worthy efforts here in town. So that looks like it's on the front burner.
That's really exciting. And I think we're going to be doing more programs like this. We may have other guests on to talk about some of the changes that are happening here at community television. We definitely are going to have some new programming, both coming from Dunbar Productions, but we also have a plan here at CTV with our staff and with our members to develop programs. We have just recently started an open mic night at CMAP in Gilroy. So we did our first open mic. Yours truly got to perform for the first time ever. So I don't know if Santa Cruz will get to see that or not, but we'll be having musicians come on. We have lots of music programs here at CTV already, but I'm really excited about doing an open mic night where we'll invite everybody from the community to come in and perform spoken word, music, acts, all kinds of things, and we'll be doing that monthly. So we'll be looking forward to collaborating with you on that to maybe see if we can get some sponsors to help support that, or complimentary content that we can develop around that. We're also going to be, as we have in the past, working with the nonprofit community, doing public service announcements, and doing other pieces that folks are very accustomed to, both our members and our staff getting out in the community and shooting a lot of these community events. And we're looking forward to partnering with Dunbar Productions on what that's going to look like and how we manage our time slots and the evening programming.
I think quickly too, just to throw in this, you had mentioned earlier in your plan that the technology has taken a significant leap forward. The channels are going to start looking better. The streaming media will be state of the art, and the do-it-yourself aspect of it, that is the uploading from the community, is going to be even better and more robust. So in a sense, it's more of a wider open door than ever because of technology.
And if you look at Denver Open Media's site, actually, you can see a little bit about some of the changes they've gone through over the last 7 years when their community media center kind of collapsed and didn't survive, and then had someone come out in and bring it back up to speed. And a lot of the changes that we're going to be making here are similar. We're following their lead in certain areas. In certain ways, we'll be really going into absolutely new territory entirely. And so, I just want to let folks know and make sure that you understand as viewers and our community what we're doing here at community television to really reinvent community media. And that's something that's happening all across the country due to these funding cuts. We've seen states, 22 states around the nation, as you heard in my telethon requests for donations from the community, that we are one of the states affected here in California, and we need your help to keep community television not just alive, but actually help us to reinvent our infrastructure. We just started with a brand new server this week at the County of Santa Cruz. We have a TelView server, and our team from CMAP has been installing that. It's going to bring a lot of efficiencies in personnel time and also in helping the members put their own content and even schedule their own shows on our server. So that's going to be happening in the next 3 weeks. So if you're a member, you can sign up to take the training for how do you upload your content and get it on the airwaves. And we're very excited about this open access that we're continuing here at community television. So I want to thank Romney for coming on the program today, and we'll be doing some more shows like this, and we really look forward to hearing from you as our viewers, our members in our community, about how you can support these transitions at community television of Santa Cruz County. Thank you.